Well, hello and welcome to our member presentation called Fast Forward to FAAFP. This program is tailored to new physicians looking for an important CV builder and a way to define their value and connect with the greater family medicine community. New physicians are busy and pulled in many directions in their early years. It may be hard to quantify all the incredible achievements of being a family physician. Earning the Fellow of the American Academy of Family Physicians designation is a clear definition of a family physician's contributions, dedication, and value to the health system and to their patients. We're here to encourage you to become Fellows of the American Academy of Family Physicians and attend a convocation at AAFP FMX or at our own Illinois annual meeting this November as a way to personally engage and connect with the academies, their leaders, and other members. Recent Fellow and AAFP board member Rebecca Maddrell will walk through the process and offer tips on how to make it easy and efficient. And that would be Rebecca Maddrell, MD, FAAFP. And then we also have IAFP board member Dr. Anna Shanahan, who's here, and together they'll break down each section and determine how Dr. Shanahan will be ready to submit to AAFP in 2024 and fast forward to her own FAAFP. Then we should have plenty of time for questions and a few wrap-up announcements. Today's presentation is being recorded. The recording and the slides will be sent to our attendees, and this presentation will be added to the IAFP's YouTube channel. We encourage you to share the link with your family medicine friends who could use and should add FAAFP. You'll also receive a short evaluation about today's program and your thoughts on the fellow application process. So please submit that evaluation so we can share your input with AAFP, and I'll also be sure to include that in the chat. So now I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Rebecca Maddrell. Here's a little bit about her, and I will turn the program over to her to introduce herself and get us going.
Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for the intro, Jenny. So so my name is Rebecca Maddrell. I'm on the board of the IAFP, but day to day, I'm a family physician or faculty member at Loyola, as well as the assistant family medicine clerkship director there. I actually graduated from WestM in 2019, but FMR 2022 makes me feel better because it makes me younger. But it was in 2019. I'm a mom of two, and yes, I was able to obtain the fellow distinction this fall at FMX in 2023. So yeah, thank you. So moving on. So I guess basics, the very, very basic. So who can apply? So the main thing is you do actually be an active life or an active member with dues and re-elections in good standing. So you do need that active membership for at least 6 years or a combination when you were a resident as well as an active member, which is how I was able to do it this past year. There is an online application. You can also download the PDF. So whatever way you work easier, I probably did both to make sure I had enough points before I submitted. And the main thing is that you need a total of 100 points, and it doesn't, and we're going to go through some of those specifics in a little bit, but it doesn't matter how you get those points or how many categories you fill. You just need to, at the end of the day, reach that 100-point total. So great. So those are the basics. And then next. Jenny, do you mind advancing the next slide? Okay, I'm sorry here, 1 second. Is it advancing for anyone else? And I just can't see it. No, okay. Okay, give us a holder 1 second. Oh, I am the host now. Oh, okay. So Jenny must have gone offline here. So let me just pull up and then share it from my screen. So just give me a second here. right, let's see if you're able. I think I'm sharing my screen now. Let's just pull this back up. Can you guys see that or no?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. So I appreciate your patience. Oh, so I forgot when I didn't download it, not everything came up. Okay, but going through, we'll just try to do this until Jenny can pop back on. So again, so where you can rack up your points or how you can do it. So once you do download the application, you'll see that they kind of divide the application into these like 6 different categories. And again, it doesn't matter what categories you fill or kind of in it, you can kind of see it. It depends on kind of where you are in your career, kind of what you've done, or whether you work with residents or in a medical school type setting, or even in research, if that's where you spend most of your time. It doesn't matter. Just again, at the end of the day, it's where it adds up to. So the categories are lifelong learning, teaching and precepting, publishing and research, practice improvement, public service, as well as service to the specialty. So kind of going in and digging in a little bit deeper. And again, Jenny, if you pop in, I know that you edited these slides today, so we can go back to your slide deck. But so kind of starting with that lifelong learning. So again, even, most physicians will go through the board certification process in family medicine. So you get points for just being certified by the ABFM or by the American Osteopathic Board of Family Physicians. And again, if you've done both, because I know that some physicians in our residency are required to do both, you can get those points then. And then any recertifications that you've done. So if you're kind of doing this a little bit later and you've already had to recertify after those 10 years, you can also get additional points for recertifying. On top of that, there's a certificate of added qualifications. So any kind of specialty or fellowship that if you become board certified in, such as sports medicine, geriatrics, adolescent medicine, again, another way to kind of add up all those points. And then any additional degrees that you've completed. So I know some people, and that does have to be kind of in that post-residency kind of training period, or since you started your residency. So if, gosh forbid, someone had extra time during residency to do any of this, but if you got an MBA, MPH, PhD, JD, or any other fellowship, that will also gain you additional points. Other things that, again, some of us just do for our job to get certified is if you've completed a certification in also or advanced life support and obstetrics, as well as advanced trauma, life support, and even more. And even just obtaining some CME. So some of the stuff is like built in the accreditation. If you are board certified and need to keep up that certification, some of the CME meetings sponsored by the AAFP or the IAFP, or some of the CME packages that you may purchase, again, all accrue points. And again, some of the categories do have a max. Like if you've gone to a certain number of meetings, you can't go over the 5. Even if you've attended more, you only get the 5 points for it. But it can really, really quickly add up to kind of, again, getting to your 100. So just being board certified, being even ACLS, I think is one of them, has another like 5 to 10 points. And then doing some CME, that's like 20 points right there, and you're well on your way. And then the next kind of category is practice improvement. So again, accruing points. So the whole point of the fellowship is this distinguishment in serving the specialty as well as serving underserved communities. So you get points if you practice in an underserved area or a health professional shortage area. Again, depending on what your practice looks like, there's some built-in points there, because if you provide services outside of your regular office practice, such as a hospital, nursing home, or even in the prison, you can get points that way, as well as the children medical services. Other things, again, performance improvement activities in your residency program, if you are working in a residency program, and or the practice during the last 5 years. So again, AAFP and IAFP also have some QI activities, which will quantify points there. Jenny, are you back on? Oh, cool. Okay. Great. So it looks like we'll hop on to kind of the next part there, which is the teaching and precepting. Great. So yeah, Ginny added some points to these updated slides. So that's great. So again, if you were a lecturer at a national AAFP meeting or even a chapter meeting, we'll get points that way. If you serve as a volunteer faculty member at a family medicine residency program, you can get a ton of points that way. If you serve as a preceptor for, again, for some of these sections, there's a max number of points you can have, but if you've precepted for 4 weeks, for a student, that counts as 10 points per session. And if you've done that multiple times again since the beginning of residency there, you can accrue up to a maximum of 40 points. So almost half your points could be from just serving as a preceptor. So if that's kind of a setting that you're in, you can get a lot of your points by doing that. Volunteer mentoring. So again, having students really at or whatever stage of learning they're at, shadowing visits in your office, or even just meeting with them, or if kind of it's more formal as mentoring in the FMIG or family medicine interest group, or providing some lectures for pre-med or even in the medical school, you can gain points doing that as well. So again, maxing out at around 10 points there. Okay, great. And again, if anyone has any questions as we're going through this, please feel free to stop. And also, when you go onto the site, if you're filling out the application and you're sort of questioning whether something counts, they do have an email there as well for the fellowship that you can ask if that would account for points. So again, public service and service to the specialty. So another way to gain some points. So if you did serve in the military, you can obtain points that way, as well as mission, charity care, emergency disaster. A lot of other opportunities there will accrue some points. Other things is being part of the AAFP or certain roles in the IAFP, such as board member or even leadership positions. You can gain points that way, as well as in other organizations like the AMA, the state medical societies, STFM, as well as AOA. All right. And then again, kind of moving on through these categories. So just talking through publishing and research. So again, for me, I feel like sometimes I would add stuff to my CV. And so I kind of brought out my CV. I was filling out my application because sometimes you forget some of the research that you've done in residency or kind of afterward. Some of, again, if you've been published, again, starting in residency, so a lot of times there are requirements in residency to do research that does lead to publications or presentations that you can gain kind of points for. And again, anywhere from 4 to 20 points for various items or articles published, depending on how active you are. So always a plug for the IAFP, but and other AAFP activities. There's a lot of things, again, if you kind of start the application, you realize that you're short on a few points. The IAFP has some activities that you can participate in to gain some of those points if you're a few short and you're hoping to obtain your fellow distinction this year, such as participating in Star Wars. The IAFP also sponsors Spring into Action. The next one's not this year, but next year, so hold on. You can partake in that and obtain some points. We're always looking for people to be a member of some of our interest groups, for which we have many, including direct primary care, lifestyle medicine, geriatrics, health equity, physician well-being, as well as reproductive health care and women in medicine. The IAFP also offers many different types of awards each year, and being a recipient of an IAFP award also garners some points for the fellowship application. So how I got my points, kind of accruing them all there. So I went through some of the things. So I did, before I worked at Loyola, I was on faculty at West River Medical Center at the residency there. So some of those activities also accredited as part of my points. But again, some of these things are things that I sought out, and some of the things, again, are just things that we do kind of in our day-to-day that count. So the BFM certification, attending meetings or CME meetings sponsored by AAFP, as well as some of the AAFP and IAFP local chapter sponsored CME, and being accredited in ACLS and PALS. For some of those practice quality improvement, so some of the things that I did, leadership position in your clinic, I was the medical director at our clinic for a period of time, as well as performance improvement activities. Again, I was on faculty in our residency program, so was able to get some points from some of those improvement activities that we participated in as faculty. And then moving on to teaching, so participating as a lecturer in national, regional, local meetings. So again, Family Medicine Midwest, another plug for that one. It can be a really great opportunity to gain some experience in presenting at more of a regional level. As well as serving as a preceptor. So again, kind of built into what I have been doing both in the faculty, but especially now as a faculty member at Stritch, as well as volunteer mentoring. Again, a ton of opportunities and programs, both through the IAFP, but to some of the organizations that you might work in. For public service, so again, participating in charitable events kind of outside of your practice, so any health fairs or anything that you might have participated in, as well as public relation activities is another one. And I had the opportunity to be part of some things on the radio. And then publishing and research, so again, I've had an article or two published in a peer-reviewed journal, and then again, part of that last section was service to your specialty, and I am on the IAFP board currently. So this was, I love this resume. So yes, that's a picture of the fellow. And if you, I don't know if anyone knows the president of the AAFP currently, but he's super awesome. And so if you do get your fellowship at FMX or the annual meeting, the newly elected AAFP president will be the one presenting to you. But reflecting on the fellowship of daily life led me to reflect on the AAFP's degree of fellow, and I think that they are not so different. The fellowship is a group of people who care about each other in a given activity in equal measure, then the AAFP's offering fits the bill. So that was kind of is a good summary of kind of why I went out from, or what the why for me was behind getting the degree of fellow. And then, yeah, you get a cool certificate. It's probably up here in this office somewhere. And yeah, and a nice breakfast with some really cool or awesome people in the field. And now I'll move on to, well, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're similar in so many ways because we graduated residency around the same time. We both have 2 kids. I love it. Yes, so I've certainly
They're probably screaming in the background, so I apologize.
Oh, same. It's fine if anybody hears them. But yes, so this has been super helpful for me because it gives me plenty of ideas of what I can use to get to fellow status. So excited to hopefully go for it and see what happens.
So Dr. Shanahan, why don't you give a little bit about your background?
Sure.
And
Absolutely. So going far back, so I was born in Russia. I mainly grew up in Colorado, but I have been at Northwestern since undergrad, so I bleed purple at this point. I went to Feinberg School of Medicine at Northwestern and then stayed at Northwestern for my residency in family medicine at their Lake Forest program. And then I obtained my fellowship in integrative medicine from Northwestern as well as University of Arizona. And now I am still at Northwestern as faculty for the same program that I graduated residency from. And my main clinic is doing integrative medicine consults for patients. I think I missed. Oh boy, the fun part.
So in this case, just looking at the categories that were involved and what Dr. Maddrell went through, where would you start grabbing your points in each of these categories?
Sure.
Maybe starting with lifelong learning, which would
Sure.
include a lot of your certifications. and
Yeah.
your
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Wildernessman. All
Yeah,
right, we'll
I
talk
hope
later.
so. So, it's not, there's no board exam for it,
Yeah,
but
but it's so cool.
hopefully it's still, hopefully they'd still count it, and the integrative medicine fellowships as well.
Mhm.
So those would probably be the ones that I would use for that category.
Sure.
Um,
And I'm sure with the residency, you do a lot of like quality improvement stuff. Okay, I won't speak for you. I'm sorry, I'll keep my mouth shut.
no. Yes, certainly. I'm trying to think of specific QIs that we've done recently. That's probably one area that I can always use more. I'm trying to think back. Let's see.
Have you done a recertification yet for ABFM?
It's yes, I believe so. It's been one cycle.
That counts.
Great, we'll take it.
And then with teaching, obviously,
Yes, precepting. So I will take all those precepting. I mean, I've been precepting for almost 6 years almost. So I'll take as many points as I can get there.
let's see, with precepting, you would get a lot. Let's see. For every 4 weeks, that is 10 points with a maximum of
Okay.
40.
So we'll take the 40.
Yeah, it's like half of your points right there. I think you
Yeah.
probably already made it.
Excellent.
Moving ahead, then perhaps
Yeah.
any of these 4 categories. So obviously, service to the specialty. You are an IAFP board member.
Yes, great experience. Highly recommend.
Any public service that you can think of, like, do you do any work with any of the charity care, or have you done mission trips or any of those kind of?
I'm trying to think of recently. Everything that's within, also, with 2 under 2 kids, it all blurs together.
Yeah.
I'm like lacking on the service portion recently.
No, but again, like you don't have to like put in every category. And then sort of once I hit my 100 points, I was done.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just kind of stopped filling out the application because that's all you need. You don't get like extra credit points for like
Certainly.
going over 100. So even just
Yeah.
with like the precepting, like the board stuff, I feel like the fellowships you've done, the certification, that's probably like there.
There's, maybe other people have this too. Serving on we have a Northwestern recently created like a peer-to-peer physician, basically counseling and wellness service, where if someone has like an adverse event, so volunteering for that.
Cool.
For the specialty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this guy was like, I was a breast milk donor. That's
Hey, I feel like you should get extra credit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's see, publishing and research, certainly. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of posters and,
from your TV.
yeah, articles and research.
Yeah. All right. So as you can see, it sounds like it isn't too hard once you sit down and go through the worksheet, right?
Yeah, and I mean, right now, in case anyone else is doing the same thing, I mean, I'm looking through my recently applied for academic promotion. So that was some time to put together that CV. So that's a really handy guide.
Anything else we should touch on with anything that sticks out with you about Dr. Shanahan's application?
I think we did a lot of the same things in terms of, national speaking at the national AFP conference residents and students. I've done that basically annually for the past few years.
Excellent. I think that goes under.
Mhm.
I don't know if that goes under which category that goes under, but you will definitely rack up quite a few for that would be under the first part under lifelong learning.
Okay.
So any of those are
Mhm.
you can use for AAFP and chapter.
Mhm.
Okay.
And certainly have done instructing for like small groups at the medical school and served as the FMIG faculty mentor and the wilderness group mentor.
So you will get this quite
easy. Yeah, very easy.
All right, then I'm going to go back to here, back to our presentation mode. And then we'll take this process to the finish line and open it up for questions. The final step is probably the least fun part of the process.
Yeah.
That's when the processing fee is submitted to AAFP. And if for some reason your application is not processed and accepted, that gets refunded to you again from AAFP. Don't blame the messengers, Dr. Maddrell or Jenny Flynn.
But I will say it's like a one-time fee. So it's like once you paid that 210, your fellowship is for the rest of your life. The degree of fellow is for the rest of your life. So there's not like annual dues or anything that's like special to the fellowship. And I guess another thing, there's not like commitments, at least that I'm aware of, for the after once you're a degree of fellow, there's not like special meetings or anything else that they ask of you. I think it's just continuing to serve your field in the way that you have. So yeah. So application is accepted all year round. And there's not, it's on a rolling basis. There's not like once they reach a certain number, they won't accept anymore. I think the only other main things is making sure that you do have to go to either one of the FMX meetings or one of our chapter meetings, which is the next presentation. So that's such a cool name for the next one. Together We Rise. So there'll be a convocation there, ceremony there, or our annual meeting is in Naperville this November, on November 9th. And so we'd love to have you there as well, where we can also present you with your certificate.
And AAFP does provide chapters with a list of everyone who has met the fellow convocation or met the qualifications of fellow, so we can send personal invites, and we do that every year. So if you complete the process and AAFP notifies us, then we will automatically send you an invite, and we'll do the recognition during lunch at the annual meeting this year. So we can open it up to questions. I'll pull off the slides for a minute so everyone can see, but and then I'll also put in the chat a survey with the evaluation for this event. And I'll also include the link where you can get started on your own process. But before I pull down the slides, let me just make sure I don't forget to talk about some of our upcoming events that are super important. And then we'll open it up to questions. But we're in the Family Medicine Midwest call for abstracts period. So if you love to present, and wouldn't you get points for presenting at Family Medicine Midwest? Yes, you would. So if you plan to apply for your fellow degree in 2025, you could rack up some points at Family Medicine Midwest as a presenter. The call for abstracts is open until May 28th. And then, so we have a couple of really fun foundation events ahead. Our annual White Sox game. This will be our 17th annual White Sox game. The only year we didn't have it was 2000, and you all know why that would be. So it is Friday, June 7th, coming up quickly, and $10 of every ticket purchase goes to support the Family Health Foundation of Illinois, which largely supports student and resident activities and opportunities. And this one we just added, we're really excited about, our first ever WNBA Foundation game on, it should be Sunday, August 25th. The Chicago Sky will host the defending champion Las Vegas Aces, who have Naperville native Candace Parker on their roster, Hall of Famer, just the bomb. And then yesterday, if you watched the draft, the Sky drafted University of South Carolina MVP Camila Cardoso, 6'7" center. She's amazing. And they also drafted Angel Reese out of LSU, who was the 2023 national champion in the college tournament. And she was the most outstanding player of that tournament. So we had the top 2 players from the last 2 NCAA tournaments coming to Chicago. We're super excited. So you all get these slides, and there's an easy QR code and a ticket code to purchase. I can't wait to bring my daughters. I hope this will be a really fun, family fun event for our members as well. We are in award season. So the application or the nomination forms are open on our website. Family Physician of the Year, our Teachers of the Year, and the Vincent Keenan Servant Leadership Award. And then it's also National Minority Health Month here in April. So we have been trying to share AAFP's resources, and there's also some hashtags and ways to showcase your own efforts in promoting minority health in your community and institution. And finally, we are always happy to get Google reviews about our work. So if this information was helpful to you, there's an easy way to say something positive about us on Google that helps others find us, including people who should be members and maybe aren't, and other partners who are looking to work with us. That being said, I am going to stop sharing and just open it up to the floor. If anyone has any questions, we're a small group, so you can just unmute and fire away. Or if you're somewhere where you don't feel comfortable, you can always put it in the chat. I do want to thank both Drs. Maddrell and Dr. Shanahan for being our presenter and our test pilot to pursue the degree of fellow. Floor is yours, ladies.
Well, thank you, Jenny, too. I can throw that in there. But yeah, so if people have any questions, we're happy to answer anything. And thanks for coming or listening later if that's the route that you chose.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
But if not, if you do have questions, you can feel free to email Jenny later if you are listening to this later, and I'm happy to answer. And Jenny, you can forward those to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions at a later time too. But maybe not, maybe there's no questions. What do you think, Jenny?
And then before we end this, I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the information on the evaluation and where to get started. This will also be in the follow-up email going to attendees also. So thank you guys, ladies, both so much for your work. I'll go ahead and stop the recording and have a great evening.